So Attorney General Merrick Garland just gave an interview to Lester Holt of NBC News, and he reaffirmed that the Department of Justice intends to hold everyone accountable for any and all crimes they committed in connection with the insurrection, regardless of who they are, regardless of their status or their position. And Attorney General Garland also made clear that they will hold people accountable in a way that honors the Constitution. Let's talk about precisely what that means. Because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So Attorney General Merrick Garland gave an interview to Lester Holt of NBC News that just aired, and not surprisingly, he didn't make any news. Now that's not a criticism. I wasn't expecting Merrick Garland to make any news. He's kind of the king of circumspection. He's really accomplished at not making news. But here is some of the reporting about that interview. Headline: Merrick Garland calls Justice Department's January 6th probe the most wide-ranging investigation in its history. And that article begins, the Justice Department plans to prosecute anyone who was criminally responsible for interfering with the peaceful transfer of power from one administration to another. Attorney General Merrick Garland said Tuesday, speaking more expansively than he has previously about a federal criminal investigation that appears to have moved far beyond the rioters who attacked the Capitol. In an exclusive interview with NBC Nightly News anchor Lester Holt, Garland said that the televised hearings by the House January 6 committee highlighted the truth of what happened and what a risk it meant for our democracy. And he acknowledged that the Justice Department investigators learned things from the congressional testimony. Now, I actually want to go back to some earlier statements Merrick Garland made about how the department goes about investigating high-profile crimes. And here's a statement he made back when he was supervising the investigation into the Oklahoma City bombing. Quote, we promised that we would find the perpetrators, that we would bring them to justice, but that we would do it in a way that honored the Constitution, Garland said, his voice cracking. Now, as a former career prosecutor, I embrace that sentiment. I celebrate that sentiment, the fact that a criminal investigation will be conducted in a way that honors the Constitution. And I think what Merrick Garland means by that is that any criminal investigation conducted by the Department of Justice must be conducted lawfully, ethically, honorably, in a way that honors the constitutional rights of the people being investigated. But here's the thing. Honoring the Constitution is not a halfway proposition. What do I mean by that? Well, there are certain insurrectionists who are prohibited by the Constitution from serving in federal office. Let's look at just part of the 14th Amendment, Section 3. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against same or given aid and comfort to the enemies thereof. So, honoring the Constitution also involves removing insurrectionists from Congress. Honoring the Constitution also involves prohibiting insurrectionists from running for re-election, getting re-elected, and more firmly entrenching themselves inside the government so they can continue to try to kill our democracy from within. When it comes to honoring the Constitution, in for a penny, in for a pound. You know, it's not a halfway proposition. We appreciate that the Department of Justice will honor the Constitution when it is investigating Donald Trump and his criminal associates. We want them to get it right. We don't want the Department of Justice to violate anybody's constitutional rights in the process. Yes, let's honor the Constitution. But let's honor the entire Constitution, including the parts that say insurrectionists cannot run for re-election, not members of Congress, and not a criminal president who is flirting with another presidential run. 14th Amendment says he can't serve in federal office again. We need to honor that part of the Constitution. And right now, we have private citizens and nonprofit organizations going into court and fighting to enforce the disqualification clause of the 14th Amendment. Groups like Free Speech for People. Tomorrow, I'm going to interview the president of Free Speech for People, John Boniface. He and his team have been going into court after court trying to disqualify insurrectionists from serving in Congress. So, whereas it's great that we have these free agent democracy fighters, these justice warriors, private citizens, nonprofit organizations who are going into court and trying to enforce the disqualification clause of the 14th Amendment, trying to protect our democracy and our government, trying to keep insurrectionists from returning to Congress or returning to the Oval Office to try to kill our democracy from within. All of that is great. It's important. It's heroic. But the Department of Justice needs to honor the Constitution. All of the Constitution, not just protect the constitutional rights of Donald Trump and his criminal associates as they go about the investigation and ultimately the indictment and prosecution of Trump and company. Yes, we want you to honor their constitutional rights, but we want you to honor all of the Constitution, including disqualifying insurrectionists from burrowing back into our government, from harming us from within. That is another part of the Constitution that the Department of Justice must honor. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.